The subject matter for a Russian opera is kind of interesting because there's sort of a theory, and people have written about why it wasn't immediately well accepted and why it didn't enter the repertoire. The big difference is it's kind of hard to understand today is the sort of lack of respect or sort of understanding of the role that the Greek classicists had in sort of the formation of our culture. I think we sort of take it for granted now. It's part of even middle school or high school education here that you start with Aeschylus and Sophocles, and you work your way up, and there's a sort of like canon that builds itself through. But in Russia at the end of the 19th century, that wasn't at all the case, that they were looking a lot more towards their own sort of national literature and looking more sort of inwards and northwards. The center of gravity wasn't in the Middle East or wasn't in ancient Greece. And so the universal quality of this story wasn't well accepted. The composer, his work is completely new to me, as I think it will be to most of our audiences. He's known for some chamber works and symphonic works, but this is his only opera, so for an opera crowd, it's going to be new. I mean, the sound world that it inhabits isn't entirely unfamiliar. I mean, he's a student of Tchaikovsky, and it's a lush, sort of late romantic, tonal, harmonic world that we're in. So, I mean, you can just sort of start listening to it. The way it's written, there's sort of long arias and duets that have a story to them because they're based on the Aeschylus play, and even though the structure of the play is sort of moved around and some of the characters are sort of abbreviated and scenes are put in different orders, it's still, you're very aware that it's a literary source that's being set to music, and that the words aren't there to serve just the music. That the music really is there to amplify the core message of the text. This piece with the House of Atreus, I mean, it is a tragedy in the sort of the classic definition of the piece, but there's also moments of sort of release and happiness and hopefulness. I mean, the whole last part of the trilogy is about developing a new social order for dealing with violence. This whole opera is dealing with that very theme about vendetta and personal responsibility for things that happen to you versus a social structure and ideals that could sort of be bigger than what our maybe inner desires are.